So I'm saying to you right now, if you want a real Democrat, you want someone who's actually gonna fight for you, you want someone who's actually gonna listen to you and not be connected to the nonsense that is going on the other side. My name is Michael Blake, and rock with us right now and join us so we can go win this race.
All right, guys, welcome to the revolution. I've got a great guest coming up for you guys in a minute. But first, I want to tell you, you know how we're building corruptionwatch.us? That's the website that tracks the politicians, their donors, and the bills, and matches up the donors with the bills. And so it's a great effort, but we need a couple more coders. So the guys who started building this site have done great work. Shout out to ARPAN. But if you're a coder out there, hope@tyt.com. We need your help. And you could make a big difference for us. hope@tyt.com. Email us there. And we'd love to hear from you and get your help. Okay, all right. Now joining me is Michael Blake. He is a former New York State Assemblyman. He's running against Ritchie Torres, one of the most AIPAC-funded pro-Israel congressman in the country. And it's not that he's pro-Israel; he's pro-Israel's genocide. I can go on and on. In fact, I will during this interview. But first, Michael, welcome.
Good to see you, John. Appreciate you, brother. How you doing?
No problem. I'm good. So, Michael, you've got a lot of interesting things in your background. This election is about both you and Torres, of course. You ran for mayor for New York. You're an associate pastor. And I don't know what that is. I'm so kind of curious about it. And then there's something in your bio. Well, there's two things in your bio that I'm worried about. One is like cinnamon raisin bagels with ketchup. That's unacceptable. And worked at the White House under Obama.
Oh my goodness. That first one is like the most controversial thing I ever hear all the time, but I'm ready.
Okay. I mean, it's a heavy charge, I'm about to say, but it's a little Trumpian. What is cinnamon raisin bagel with ketchup? How did that even come about?
Look, I mean, I'm from the Bronx, man. We do things differently out here. I mean, people could talk about bacon, egg, and cheese, and that'd be the easy, straightforward thing. Or, you gotta have a cinnamon raisin bagel, bacon, egg, and cheese. The cholesterol is a little ridiculous. The calorie intake's ridiculous. Don't worry, but it is delicious. That's what matters. So that'd be my morning and an oxtail at night, and that's how we keep the party going.
You lost me again at oxtail. I was about to come around when you start talking about bacon, egg, and cheese. All right. We'll work on it. So we'll come back to Obama. But let's talk about Ritchie Torres. So for the folks at home who don't know, tell us about who he is. That's the incumbent Democrat in the seat you're running for.
You have someone in me who born and raised in the Bronx, grew up here, Crescent and Burnside, PS 79, 118, Dewitt Clinton High School. Worked in DC, came back home, been doing the work on the ground. Served as an assembly, My Brother's Keeper program, served as a vice chair so we can get more Black and brown people elected to office. As opposed to Ritchie Torres. Ritchie Torres is the man who voted with Republicans on the Laken Riley Act so that increased deportations would happen. Ritchie Torres is a man who has talked about what's happening in Israel, in particular AIPAC, 236% more than he talks about poverty. Ritchie Torres is someone who has had one bill that has become a law that he's prime responsible of. So when we talk about raising wages, that's what I want to do. We talk about reduced cost of living, that's what I want to do. When you talk about actually reimagining the Bronx, that's what I want to do. Ritchie Torres has made it very clear that helping the people of the Bronx is not his priority. And he's only been focused on helping himself. And also it came out publicly that Ritchie has been investing in the bombs maker for what's going on in the war. So if you want something different, you want something real, you actually want a real Democrat, my name is Michael Blake and I want to be your congressman.
So I just looked it up. Ritchie Torres is taking at least $1.6 million from the Israeli lobby. And Michael, so I want to stay on that for a second, right? Look, some people love Israel and they might be in your district, they might not. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And we get it, okay? But Ritchie Torres seems obsessed. He's constantly talking about how Israel is great and how they got to do a genocide and how we have to pay for it. And then you find out that he's taking $1.6 billion from these folks. Do you think that there might be a connection with the money he took and how obsessed he is with helping Israel and its war crimes?
Well, it's obvious. I mean, and not only that, you think about how he was one of the people who spoke out against President Biden repeatedly in saying that we actually shouldn't have accountability to what's going on in the Israeli government. So when we think about what's happening there, we should be spending money on books. We should be spending money on helping people address what's going on with SNAP. We should be helping people right now that are afraid about their healthcare subsidies are going to be gone. We should be protecting our immigrants. That is what we should be doing. We should be helping the close to 1 million Black women who have lost their jobs in the federal government because of Donald Trump. That's what we should be doing. But you have someone who's made a decision, Ritchie Torres, and taking money from AIPAC and taking money from what's happening from the Israeli lobby is more important than helping the people. And I've been very clear about this. Someone can have an evolution and on the journey. I've been very clear about this. I've been on this journey myself. But you got to understand that when you see what's been happening, especially the last 2 years, that you got to take a stand. And Ritchie has made a decision that he cares more about what is happening in another country than what he cares about what's happening in his own community.
Mm-hmm. So, it's interesting because in the old days, 2 years ago, being the old days, if you called out Ritchie Torres for taking all this AIPAC money, people would get upset and everybody would get called anti-Semites and all this stuff. And it was basically covered up and media didn't really talk about it. But nowadays, I mean, there's two Democrats most known for supporting Israel's war crimes. It's John Fetterman and Ritchie Torres. So what do you think made the difference? And do you think it'll make a difference in this race? Like, has it filtered down to the actual voters yet? Because usually the media is terrific at tricking the voters into thinking that these politicians are on their side, when in reality they're serving the donor class. But do you think the message has gotten home to the Bronx and to the voters?
To some, look, we have people on the block right now, I think, who will come to us and say, he doesn't take about housing, doesn't talk about education, doesn't talk about jobs, doesn't talk about anything that we actually care about. That's what people want to actually talk about. And they're pissed, they're angry, they're upset. And we got to be real clear that at the end of the day, you can be critical of Bibi Netanyahu, you can be critical of the government. That doesn't mean you're against the people, right? And they try to conflate the two. Being against a government doesn't make you anti-Semitic. Being against what Bibi is doing doesn't make you anti-Israel. But we want to be very clear at the end of the day that you got to say enough is enough. And that this nonsense can't continue. And how can I be an ordained reverend, a Black man who is watching what is going on, which is a genocide against the people, Black and brown people on the ground, and just be silent about that? And so when we think about what's at stake, I actually think we should be helping people actually get some jobs and keep their jobs and actually have a better chance on the ground. That's not what Ritchie's doing at all. And people just got to ask themselves, why did Ritchie go so hard in the paint against Zoran Mamdani in the election when I cross-endorsed with Zoran? Why did Ritchie say that he refused to be helpful to our communities? Why did he do these things? Because he effectively made the decision that it wasn't important, that you were not important. So I'm saying to you right now, you want a real Democrat, you want someone who's actually gonna fight for you, you want someone who's actually gonna listen to you and not be connected to the nonsense that is going on the other side. My name is Michael Blake, and rock with us right now and join us so we can go win this race.
Yeah, I got more questions along those lines, including on Zoran, but you mentioned rock with you and it made me think of your video for your campaign. So I wanna run a little piece of that for the folks at home so they can check it out and then we'll come back and talk about it.
And as I was living in these slum conditions, the city was spending more than $100 million on a golf course.
Ritchie Torres invested in weapon makers.
All these things I'm seeing about Ritchie Torres.
Since 2021, Ritchie Torres has represented New York's 15th congressional district, the poorest congressional district in America. In 2025, Ritchie has nearly $15 million on hand, largely from AIPAC, while many of his constituents barely have $15 to get by. So he spent the last 15 days hearing from the people about why they're ready for a change.
I saw Ritchie Torres on
Adam Friedland.
I know he suffered, but what happens to you is you get bought. It is so hard to keep your moral integrity once you start taking the money.
He profited from it.
He talks about that place far more often than he talks about the Bronx.
You were criticized for Blackstone donation, the architects of the housing crisis.
What a asshole.
You cannot be a representative in the city of New York and you talk like that. guy, Ritchie Torres sucks.
Not as long as
Ritchie Torres is a white mother. Ritchie Torres cares more about BB than he cares about the Bronx. More about AIPAC than he does about your academics.
To which I say, damn.
We have to keep it real. Let's be clear. That's who he is. He's made his decisions.
So, Michael, I think your race is going to be critical, pivotal, because it's going to test whether we've gotten past mainstream media or not. Because if you listen to national media, Ritchie Torres is an American hero who loves to start wars and help Israel, beloved Israel, etc. But if you find out the reality, you'd never vote for the guy. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. Along those lines, let me ask you real quick: how's the media treating the race so far? So I don't know, I haven't seen it, but have they been relatively fair to you, or have because in my experience, maybe it hasn't happened yet, but at some point when you're running against an establishment guy, they'll start running dirty campaigns and all of a sudden find a needle in a haystack and say, "Oh, can you believe this happened and that happened?"
Yeah, I mean, it's already begun, which I think the fact that it's already begun shows that they're afraid that we're going to win this thing, right? Why would you come for someone so early out the gate if they weren't afraid? Look, I think at the end of the day, we had people who tried to drop some oppo against us, oppo research against us, but we were able to shut down pretty quickly. And I want people to understand, Ritchie, when we jumped in the race, someone said, "Well, what do you think about Michael Blake?" And he said, "Oh, Ritchie Torres knows exactly who I am. Ritchie Torres understands that. Ritchie Torres used to walk with us on the block when we were at Nitro Public Housing. Ritchie would sit with us in Little Italy when asking for advice. Now all of a sudden he's gotten confused. But let's remind him who we are. We're focused on helping the people, right?
Yeah.
And media is going to come for us, and we're not afraid, and we're ready to go do this, and we're going to win."
Well, you might remind him on primary night, so we'll look forward to that. So speaking of primaries, you mentioned Zoran earlier. So you're in the race for the mayor's seat, but you cross-promoted. What does that mean to cross-promote?
Yeah, Zoran Mamdani and I cross-endorsed each other in the primary because we were very clear that I wanted people to understand that if you were not going to be with me, then be with him and vice versa. And we wanted to send a clear message out here that we both were talking about cost of living. We both talking about affordability. We both talking about the people in a very real way. And so we wanted to find those ways to be focused in helping people. And that's what Zoran and I did. Zoran and I talked about it, and I was excited to cross-endorse with them. Ritchie never did. People seem to forget. Ritchie was with Cuomo. Ritchie was actively with Cuomo. And he decided to help someone who was killing people in nursing homes rather than help someone that was inspirational. And so when you get a chance to go vote next year, you get to ask yourself, one person in this race publicly was with the mayor-elect, soon to be the mayor, and Michael Blake. Somebody else, Ritchie Torres, did everything to try to hurt Zoran. So what we got to do right now is if you want to be on the right side, come be with us. And if you want to be on the wrong side, like Ritchie was, go be with him.
Yeah, it's Michael Blake for Congress.com, by the way. We'll put the link in the description box below. And look, Ritchie Torres is an establishment as it gets, so it's not surprising that he was with Andrew Cuomo. But I mean, really, are there Democrats left in New York or with, and in that district in particular, that are with Cuomo? That's fascinating.
There were too many, but the combination of my votes and Zoran's votes in the primary exceeded Cuomo. Combination of my votes and Adrian Adams exceeded Cuomo. The people that were on the right side understood what we had to get done, right? And in the general election, Zoran won every assembly district in the general election. So people understand what's going down. They understand what we got to make happen, and they're ready for change. Now, some people may not agree with my bacon, egg, and cheese selections, which I'm okay with that. I'm not afraid of that. But they understood that they could rock with me when it comes to our candidates, and that's why I endorsed Zoran and why Zoran endorsed me. Why I'm grateful to be on his elected official advisory board. Reason why he spoke at my church just a few weeks ago. We're showing people what's possible, and if you want someone who can be an actual ally to Zoran Mamdani, you have it in me and Michael Blake. Ritchie Torres is not going to do anything to be helpful with Zoran. And if you want a new vision, you want a new generation, that's why we're running right now.
That's weird that Zoran spoke at a church. I heard he was going to do a Muslim takeover of New York.
I heard Cuomo and Ritchie talking about that. Yeah, we heard that right there. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so talk to me about your top priorities. So if you get into Congress, what are you going to push for, Michael?
Cost of living has to be everything. Everything. You got 1 out of 4 New Yorkers who can't afford essentials right now, right? And so we want to reduce cost of living. We want to raise wages. We want to reimagine the Bronx. That's how we think about this, right? And so for housing, 3 things. We want to end credit scores for housing applications. We want to increase income limits for housing applications. We want to have local median income on housing applications. You do those 3 things, you change the game. We got to cancel student debt. We got to have student loan forgiveness. We got to be very intentional in helping our people. We need Medicare for all, and we need to protect our immigrants, not deport our immigrants. We need to actually stand up for our Black women who've been losing their jobs and stand up for our Latino communities that are not being helped. We need to stand up for our South Asian communities that are wondering what's going on in our community. We need to reject anti-Semitism and reject Muslim hate at the same time. So when you ask me about my main priorities, it's about cost of living and affordability, but it's about how we reimagine what's happening here in the Bronx and do it better, do it differently, and show that Ritchie Torres is effectively a MAGA Republican. He voted to increase deportations. What kind of Democrat would do that? He hasn't done anything to help us as a people, and that's why I'm running right now.
Yeah. So, Michael, do you take corporate PAC money?
No.
Okay. So, do you take Israeli lobby money?
No.
Okay, got you. All right, Michael, we ask this of everybody that comes on the show these days. So, what do you think is the top problem for the American government? So I'm not talking about policy that's going to help your district overall. I mean, specifically, I'm talking about big picture. What do you think is the problem that's plaguing the government the most, and how would you fix it?
You got a bunch of people right now who are making horrendous decisions because they're bought and paid for and they're beholden. Right? How the hell do you agree to end the government shutdown, but you cut Affordable Care Act subsidies for healthcare? How can you be silent on the nonsense of what's going on around a Charlie Kirk resolution? How can you actually take these steps, which people are doing right now because they're more beholden to their donors than the people? And you think about what's going on right now, the dynamic of the Supreme Court making a decision on will they end Section 2 in the Voting Rights Act so that 19 Black districts get eliminated, but at the same time, they'll have unlimited funding coming into our elections. We don't have time for that, right? So we gotta be very clear. Why are we still battling these fights? Because you have too many in the old guard who do not give a damn about us. And if we are serious about change, we need new leaders. And that means we need real Democrats. Ritchie Torres is not that. Ask yourself, how does he help deport people with the Lake and Riley Act and they call himself a Democrat? Corruption is blocking us and we gotta do it differently.
So tell me what you did for the Obama White House.
I ran African-American outreach, had the largest increase in minority business contracts that happened in the history of a 2-year span. I created the Urban Entrepreneurship Summit Series, where we went to 7 cities around the country to help our entrepreneurs having a chance. Led county and state elected official outreach to the Affordable Care Act and ACA, so that we can actually have a chance for an opportunity that's there. And so we did the work, right? Did the work for that 2.5 years. And then left and then was the National Deputy Director of Operation Vote for the election, for the re-election. And before that, I worked for President Obama in Iowa and 7 other states. I led constituency outreach. I always tell people I was the other Black guy with Obama in Iowa right there, you know? So we were able to make that happen and change the game and then brought it back home. And then, look, we took that knowledge to then come back home. And when I was elected to the assembly, I served for 6 years here. I created the My Brother's Keeper program. It's still the only state in the country that has the My Brother's Keeper program for Black and brown youth to have a chance. $20 million go to school and graduate from school. And I learned from that, from leading that effort in running African-American outreach for President Obama.
Okay, you didn't work for Tim Geithner or anything. Okay, good. Those
No.
wonderful programs. So, and you're an associate pastor. What does that mean?
Union Grove Missionary Baptist Church. You probably hearing the train in the background. So you're getting a real Bronx energy right now, everybody. So Union Grove Missionary Baptist Church, where our lead senior pastor is Reverend Frederick Crawford. I'm one of their assistant associate pastors, which we help them with the ministry. So I lead our MLK service. I lead our Kairos conversations so that we can be more engaged. Jan, we had a blessed opportunity. We helped feed 1,000 families for Thanksgiving. And I didn't say 1,000 people, 1,000 families, right? We're doing the work. We have affordable housing on both sides of our church. And so it matters to me, and it's personal for me on how we're helping our people, and that's what we're doing in our ministry.
So one last thing, what made you get into politics? What were you doing, and then what happened, and that made you go, well, I think maybe I should get in this line of work?
My full name is Michael Alexander Blake, and I'm a son of Jamaican immigrant. So let me give that vibe. Anyone who knows, I'm named after Michael Manley and Alexander Bustamante. My mama worked for 40 years raising 4 boys. The matriarch and the queen of our family, my daddy, was a janitor at St. Barnabas Hospital. I have loved what politics can be when it's done right. When it's done right, when you actually help people, you can change the game in a powerful way. You can have the opportunities of healthcare. You can have the opportunities for student loan forgiveness. You can have climate change done in the right way. You can do these things for the right way and the right reasons. And so what got me in is, I was in the spelling bee in elementary school. I lost it in 4th grade, but I won it in 5th grade. Not that I remember these things, right? Northwestern University student government. I'm a Prince Hall Mason. I'm a brother of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Brother 100 Black Men. I love what politics can be when it's done right. And so when you ask me what brought me to this, I tell people from the moment you're born to the moment you get called on home, there's nothing in your life that's happening without policy. It could be the gas, it could be the milk, it could be the bread, it could be the clothes. And so you got to have people who actually give a damn about this and want to focus on this. And so what gets me going every single day is I want to help people. I want to change the game for people, right? I'm that kid that we sold dinners to pay rent in the Bronx. I'm that assembly member that in my first year, I slept on the couch because I couldn't afford not having that extra money while I was trying to leave. I'm that person who was born with a heart murmur and I fell asleep at the wheel in 2001, only here because of the hands of God. I know what this is like to be on the block and help the people. And I'm running against someone who does not care for the people. So if you're watching from around the country, as you're watching from around the country, Ritchie Torres is not one of us. Ritchie Torres has made decisions that are not on the right side. He is wrong on the war. He is wrong on immigration. He is wrong on cost of living. He is wrong on housing. And if you want someone who is actually here to actually fight for you, who cares for you and is going to give a damn for us, my name is Michael Blake, and I'm asking that you rock with us so I can go to Congress, represent the South Bronx, and represent our people for the reasons that are right, which is for us.
Yeah, Michael Blake for Congress.com. And you mentioned something there where the audience, I know went, uh-oh, because it's going to trigger me to say, oh, we got something in common. You're Jamaican. I don't know if you know this, but I'm Mr. Jamaica.
Here we go. Here we go. I've been waiting. I was waiting for when you were going to do this right here. I'm just going to let you be. I'm going to let you have your moment right here.
So, okay, fine. You twist my arm. I did go out with Miss Jamaica, Zara Burton. And in that time, I was Mr. Jamaica, I suppose. But, what can I do? We had that connection.
I mean, you out here. I'm gonna play the small fiddle and violin for you right now. I'm trying to get your Jamaican street cred right here. But from a Jamaican massive, you already know. You already know.
I do indeed. I was going to use some, words that I learned from Zara, but then I decided not a good idea.
No. We've been doing so well. Don't do it.
Okay, everybody check out Michael Blake for Congress.com. Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it, and for running to give the people of that district a real choice for the first time in a long time.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing every day. You're speaking truth to power, and it's necessary. And just know that many of us appreciate and need you to continue to use your voice. So Much love. I'm with you all day, every day.
All right. Thank you for saying that too. All right. Have a wonderful day.
You too, bro.